Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of July 1st. I'm going to be talking fast today because we've got a lot of boat traffic and I've got a lot to say. So I want to start off with thanking Smoking Aces. We started off the report with a picture of Smoking Aces with a nice bass, and I wanted to thank him for sending in reports, and all of the guys from the Bass Brigade who have been supporting the channel and sending in reports, and for that matter, all of you guys who have been religiously sending in your reports. It really helps me to formulate what I'm doing out here, and I can't thank you guys enough, especially you guys, and you know who you are, have been sending me reports weekly on what you're doing out here. So thank everyone that's been sending in those reports, and please keep them coming. By the way, I told you I had a lot to go over. I'm going to give the Delta its mid-year report, a graded report, and I'm also going to take a little time at the end of the report to give a few suggestions to some of the newer anglers or the novice anglers that every week have also been calling me and saying, hey, you know, it's been tough out here, I'm not catching any fish. Stick around after the report, and I've got 3 or 4 little things that we'll go over. So first thing I did this week was I called Captain Jeff Soo Hoo from Soo Hoo Sportfishing. Most of you guys know that he does the stripers out here. Well, during the summer months, this time of year, he takes a break from stripers and he runs a boat out of Emeryville for salmon. Jeff wanted everyone to know that salmon opened up last week, and the offshore fishing for salmon has been really good. They're getting limits and near limits. So he wanted everybody to know out here on the Delta, you guys that may fish the Delta but like to get out once or twice a year for salmon, now is the time to be out there. If you have any questions, check out Emeryville Sport Fishing online, and they give daily results of their catch. So when you see that it's limits, you want to go out, and that's what it has been right now. You never know how long that fishery is going to last. The bottom may drop out and it may stink for the rest of the year. But right now, if you want to go out salmon fishing, pick up a few salmon, now's the time to go. I called Jeff to ask him about the striper fishing because I get questions about when the striper fishing is going to happen or start to happen, and I wanted to talk to Jeff a little bit about what's going on. And he flat out told me, he said, there's fish in the system year round. If he had to pick 2 months that were the slowest 2 months, it'd probably be June and July, but that doesn't mean that the fish aren't out here. If you want to go out striper fishing, there's fish out here, and they're out here to be had. It's just that it's not prime time. With that being said, I did a trip with my buddy Eli. I want to hit Eli up starting off. He's a young, passionate angler out here. He's on Instagram at NorCal undercut or / whatever it is, NorCal Angler. Check Eli out, and he posts all the time, and you'll get a good idea of how those stripers are biting and what he's doing. Like, he's got to be out here as much as I am, probably 3, 4, 5 times a week, and he posts all the time. So Eli, I want to thank you for putting me on the fish, and like you said, I think we went out Tuesday. We probably fished for stripers about maybe 2 hours out of the day, and we probably had 30 fish, along with some nice largemouth bass up to about 5 pounds. Obviously, we did fish for about a 5 or 6 hour day, but we concentrated on the stripers for 2 hours, and we did really well. So, the last few weeks we've had New Gen, we've had BBT, and we have the Wednesday nighters, and they have not been living up to the potential of the Delta. The Wednesday night tournaments have kicked out some big bags, but you have to remember they are fishing a different time frame than New Gen and BBT. They're fishing evenings, and the BBT and New Gen are fishing mornings. And they're all 6 hour tournaments this time of year, so if they were fishing 8 hours, the weights may go up a little bit, or they may go up substantially, just depend on when the tides are. But they're fishing a short tournament, and part of my report would be this week to tell you that the early morning fishing is not as good as the evening fishing. So again, one reason why the Wednesday night people may be having heavier bags. Also, the Wednesday night people are local people. They know the Delta. A lot of the people that may be coming in from New Gen or BBT are from out of the area and may not be quite as familiar. But as a general rule, even though somebody is always breaking 20 pounds or 25 pounds, the total weights that are coming in have been, I would say, underwhelming, maybe not disappointing, but just not living up to the potential of the Delta. So when you look at that, especially for the average weekend anglers, when the tournament guys are not producing like they should, it's probably because the Delta is just, again, not living up to its potential. So I'm going to start off by giving the Delta its mid-year report, and I'm going to give you two reports. One report is if you are a knowledgeable Delta angler and a knowledgeable bass angler, you've been out here, you know what you're doing, you know how to catch fish. I'm going to give one report for those guys, and I'm going to give one report for the novice or weekend anglers. If you are a stick out here, it's only been maybe a C- year. It's been up and down. If I'm going to move it from C- to anywhere, it's going to go from a C- to a D. It has not been a great year on the Delta, even for the good anglers. They've had good days, but it hasn't been very consistent. Now, with that being said, if you are a novice angler and you don't know a whole lot about what's going out here, it's probably a D to a D-. And that's, again, a very underwhelming grade for the Delta. And it's not because we haven't been catching fish out here, it's because the Delta is not living up to its potential. With that being said, it may start living up to its potential here in the next couple weeks. Things are getting better and better. I've had the best week, I keep saying this, but I've had the best week of fishing out here that I've had all year as far as consistency, numbers, and size. I've been out 4 times. I've had 3 really good days, and I've had 1 so-so day, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So with that being said, my fishing, what the tournaments are doing, and all of the reports that I've been getting, it's on a steady upswing, but it's still on it. Let's see, if the upswing is like this, it's not going up like this, it's going up like this. It's still, there are good days and there are slow days out here, and the guys that are having good days, including myself, are having to work. Part of my report and the grade that I give, it's going to be consistency, it's going to be size and quality and numbers. And we have had some good numbers, we've had good size, but the consistency hasn't been there. And just the fact that how hard we have all had to work for these fish, it's not, we don't get any free days out here like you might go up to Maloney's and get over a 40-foot hump and just catch fish right and left. You've got to really work for every fish. So that's a little insight on how I gave my grades to the Delta. But anyhow, I want to talk about the baits that we've been using, and a lot of the one of the baits that came on in the last week or two is square bill crankbaits. A lot of people have been talking about throwing the square bills and catching fish. They're throwing them in either crawdad color or bluegill color. I have been really sticking with that chatterbait. Last week I said the blades were working, but what's happened between last week and this week is the water clarity has gotten better. The wind died, the water clarity got better, and the blades that were outperforming the chatterbaits, it's a reversal. As the water clarity got better, the blades kind of died off, and the chatterbaits came back on. So again, if you are out here and we get a windy day and you're fishing water with less than 2 or 3 feet of visibility, throw the blades. But other than that, put on a chatterbait and don't worry about throwing the blades. So square bills, chatterbaits, the fish that are taking worms are taking worms that are fished slowly. I know the guys that are fishing frogs are doing well. I know the guys that are punching are doing well, and the tournament guys that are doing that are probably getting the bigger fish. I have not done a lot of either, although I've caught punch fish and I've caught frog fish. I've just been having more fun by throwing a bubble walker, a chatterbait, and a worm, and I will probably start elevating into a lot more punching and frogging here in the next week. I've been saying that all along, but for me, just being a guy out having fun, I'm doing what I like to do. I have also getting a lot of reports from guys that are still saying, man, I got a big blow up and I lost the fish. And I have been seeing that same thing. Everybody I talk to at the dock is missing big fish. And remember, these are the big females that are coming up and probably have not fully recovered from spawn. And I fully suspect there will be a turning point. Hopefully it's going to be this week, maybe next week, but these things are going to go on a good bite. And everybody that comes back to the dock that's saying, man, I missed a big fish, they're going to say, hey, I got a 7, an 8, a 9, I got a big, big fish. It's starting to show on the Wednesday night tournaments. They're getting a lot more of those 7 and 8 pound fish. I know there was a double digit caught in the new gen. I don't know, I didn't look at the total weights in the last BBT, but there are a few of the big behemoths starting to show up, but a lot of guys are losing big fish, and that's going to change. So with that is the report. It's been good. You got to get out here. The wind has stopped, at least for today. Check your weather reports. Conditions are perfect. The water temperatures out here are about 77, right around there, mid to high 70s. Visibility is back to 3 to 5 feet, so all the conditions out here are right for catching bass. If you're coming from out of the area, I would suggest don't worry about getting up super early to fish the morning. It just hasn't been a good bite. The evening, although it's been somewhat inconsistent, has been a better bite. Top waters, bubble walkers, walking baits, and frogs in the evening. Stay till dark. As soon as that bite stops, you might as well get out of here. There is a part of that bite that gets really good, and right when you think at dark it's going to get better, it just dies. Well, as soon as that bite dies off, get the heck out of here. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and the experienced guys can cut out now. The guys that have been having trouble catching a few fish, I'm going to give you a few suggestions on what I've seen the last couple weeks that may help you with your journey into bass fishing stardom. Number one, make sure you have the right equipment. A lot of the folks that have gotten into bass fishing recently are trying to fish for bass with stuff that they normally fish for trout, or maybe a rod that like an ugly stick that they've been using for striped bass out here, and that just doesn't cut the mustard. It just makes it really difficult to do a lot of the things that you need to do. So I'm going to give a shout out to Outdoor Sportsman and Hook, Line, and Sinker. Outdoor Sportsman in Stockton, Hook, Line, and Sinker out in Oakley, depending on where you guys live. If you're buying equipment, go in there. If you go into Outdoor Sportsman, talk to Zach. If you go into Hook, Line, and Sinker, go out and talk to Spencer. Let them know you're watching the report. They'll set you guys up with the right equipment. The first thing you want to do is let one of these two guys know what you want to spend. You don't have to spend a ton of money. Both of these shops have entry-level gear, and they have really good gear. Let them know what you want to spend, and they will set you, and let them know what you're looking for. I like fishing with worms and chatterbaits. They'll set you up with the right rod, or the right rod and reel combo, with the right spooled up with the right line that you need to fish that particular technique that you're fishing. Because what I have seen fishing with a lot of novice anglers in the last few weeks, they just don't have the equipment to do what they need to do. But talk to Spencer or Gabe, and they will set you up with the rod that's balanced right. It's got a backbone in it that you can set the hook. The tip's going to have sensitivity. They're going to set you up with the right reel, and you're going to see that it's just a whole new world opens up for you when you're using the right equipment. So number one, make sure you have the right equipment. Number two, practice your casting. And that is probably the biggest thing that you can do when you are on the water, making sure that you can do a pitch cast, an underhand cast. You know that the wind blows out here. The lower you can keep that bait to the water, the less the wind is going to affect it, and the more accurate you're going to be, and the better presentation you're going to have. So make sure you learn to underhand pitch cast. I've got a video out on pitch casting that may help you get started in the right direction with the mechanics on how to do that underhand pitch cast. The other thing I want to do, and this is a mental note for you guys, don't judge what you're doing against what you're seeing other people doing or talking about doing, when especially the tournament guys that are talking about catching the big bags. You're going to start out at the bottom, and your rise from the bottom to the top doesn't go from, you know, 0 to 10. If you're used to catching 3 or 4 fish or no fish, be happy with 2 or 3 fish or 4 or 5 fish. Just make sure that you are progressing and be happy with your own progression. It's supposed to be fun out here. If you come out and catch 7 or 8 pounds of fish and you think I did pretty good, and then you look at the tournament guys that were out there on the same day and they caught 25 pounds, that's not fair for you. The guys that are out there catching these big bags are probably running in a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 bass boat. They probably got $30,000 worth of gear on that boat. They've been fishing for years and years. They have lots of friends that they've learned from, and it's taken them a long time to get where they are. So don't expect to get to that 25-pound bag guy you know, in a year or two. It's going to be a journey. So just give yourself a pat on the back when you catch a good fish and be happy with that. So with those suggestions, mentally and physically, you should do a lot better out here, and just keep on it, keep on the water. There is nothing better than just putting as much time in as you can. And just remember, if you're a once-a-week fisherman compared to 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to, you know, have a little slower progression up that ladder. But anyhow, keep watching In Deep on the Delta, and that will help your progression. I want to thank all of you guys for watching. Let your friends know. Make sure you're subscribed. Keep watching, and I will see you guys on the water, and I will be here next week, Thursday, and I'll give you another report, and we'll see what happens between now and then. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.